So welcome everybody. I'm Marcia Nedland. Sorry, I'm an organizer for the Middle Neighborhoods Community of Practice. I may have to put a dog in timeout. And today we are going to talk about DIY, which is really an interesting subject to me. Middle neighborhoods, one of our sort of constant themes is the idea that our housing stock is not usually in terrible condition, but it does need maintenance. It needs probably some updates, and it's going to need some repairs. And so it's always one of the themes of a strategy around middle neighborhoods is to figure out what are the various ways we can get that accomplished. And sometimes the rehab is, substantial enough that it really needs to be done by licensed professionals, but there's a lot of stuff that can be done by homeowners themselves. And our panelists today are going to talk about the ways in which they're making it so that homeowners are more capable, more confident about doing those things and do a better job of it. Because one of the things we want is great DIY, right? We don't want sort of not great DIY. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. So let's get going here. And I just want to talk a little bit about middle neighborhoods before we turn it over to our panelists. So the Middle Neighborhoods Initiative, if you have not been to one of our webinars before, we're a national initiative that's mostly volunteer run. And the idea is that we're just mobilizing attention on those neighborhoods that are neither the most distressed in their communities, nor are they, completely healthy and without need for any investment or support. They tend to be ignored by both philanthropy and by even the community development field. And so we kind of like to see that people are tracking what's happening there. We have noticed as we track them that they are really starting to disappear from the landscape, either through unchecked decline or through gentrification. A lot of this has to do with the disappearance of the middle class, but this is what we concern ourselves with, is figuring out how to strengthen middle neighborhoods and keep them on the map. So, by the way, this is a sort of a joint venture between the National Community Stabilization Trust, which is our organizational home, and NeighborWorks America, which funds the community of practice for the Middle Neighborhoods Initiative. We have a steering committee of researchers, practitioners, and policymakers. I think I have one slide about characteristics of middle neighborhoods. So generally speaking, if you look across the nation, most of them are made up of single family homes that were originally envisioned to be there for families with children. They tend to still have more than 50% owner occupancy, but that's often slowly eroding if you look at the trend lines. As I talked about, the housing stock is aging, generally acceptable, but could use some updates and features that would make it, sort of competitive for today's home buyers. One of the most interesting things to me about middle neighborhoods is that they tend to be more racially, ethnically, and economically diverse than either their more distressed or less distressed counterparts. I find that really interesting in that, there's sort of this accepted wisdom in community development that we're going for mixed income, diverse neighborhoods in our revitalization efforts. And I think middle neighborhoods are those places that naturally exist that way. And so we'd like to keep them in the picture. One of the things we always like to point out is that we do have a mapping tool at our website. And if you want to use it to get a first glance at where the middle census tracts may be in your community, you can use this. It's only really a first test. A lot more things than income get considered in terms of any community deciding where its middle neighborhoods are. But on the left of this map are a variety of different income screens that you can toggle between to pop up census tracts that meet those income criteria. In some places, we can go as low as 60 to 100% of city median income. This is household income, or as high as, national test of 80 to 120, or a regional test of 100 to 160. So it really kind of depends on the geography you're looking at and what the particular characteristics of these things are in your community. Anne, we might want to actually check and see if that particular address still goes directly there. Have just about concluded migrating our old independent website to be part of NCST, National Community Stabilization Trust. So if ever you can't find us, go to the National Community Stabilization Trust. There you go. So our panelists today, let's get into this. We have a really, really interesting group of panelists. So Lori Hall is a person that I asked to help sort of set the table for this conversation. I've known Lori for a long time. She's a program officer at LISC. She's located in San Antonio, Texas. She also runs her own consulting practice. And one of the things she's very well known for is that she is on the faculty of the NeighborWorks Training Institute and teaches their courses in this topic. This usually characterizes post-purchase homebuyer education. And she'll talk a lot about why it's not just for post-purchase, but she teaches a lot, and that gets her exposed to a lot of practitioners that are doing various programs around this topic. Keisha Allen is someone that I've been admiring from afar for a long time. Keisha runs the Home Repair Resource Center in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And as you'll find out, this is an organization that's set up exclusively, entirely to assist homeowners in learning and implementing home repairs and improvements and upgrades and maintenance on their own. She's got quite a setup, and I think you'll be excited to see it. Claudia Salazar is someone that's new to me, but I met her through Lori, and she's a HUD certified homebuyer advisor for Affordable Housing of South Texas, a NeighborWorks organization in McAllen, Texas, but which serves a lot of the region around it. And she helps administer all their pre-purchase programs, as well as some really interesting post-purchase workshops, such as Fix It Yourself workshops around specific home repairs. And she will also share with us how their curriculum includes other things that are important to homeowners to keep them stable, like estate planning and, making sure that their financial ducks are in a row as well. So that's our lineup for today. We are going to start with, after we get through with this group of doing their presentations, then we'll open it up for wider Q&A. But please do feel free to type your questions in the meantime into the chat, or especially the Q&A, and that way some of them we might be able to answer by typing. And if nothing else, then we'll come back to them later, and I'll sort of field them among our panelists. Okay. So we're going to turn it up to Lori first, and she's going to talk to us about her work at the national level, her work in San Antonio, and what she thinks are the factors in the national picture that are really making DIY support meaningful right now. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Marcia, and really appreciate being here today. Give me just a quick second here to set up into show mode. And I bet I need to swap my screen. How's that?
Perfect.
All right, we're ready to go. And again, I appreciate so much being here today and talking to you about this subject. It means a lot to me. Currently, let me give you a little background. I'm the program officer with the Local Initiative Support Corporation here in sunny San Antonio, Texas. And it's still morning here, by the way. And so in my role as a program officer, we do technical assistance to local nonprofits and fund them. And also in that hat, I run a home maintenance workshop for the city of San Antonio, and I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. But many of you may know me from NeighborWorks America. I've trained for them for 20 years as a train the trainer in a number of classes, one being post-purchase education methods, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Real quick here, I know there's a lot of screens to maneuver. All right, so I train these housing counselors on how to design and deliver a home maintenance workshop in their community. It's a 5-day course. It's a NeighborWorks post-purchase education class on how to teach homeowners how to maintain their homes. And we bring in 3 big bins of materials, and every housing counselor in this class learns how to prepare a hole in drywall, how to change out the mesh in a window screen or a door screen, how to find a stud in a wall or fix a leaky faucet. We teach about energy efficiency and green products and much, much more. But at the same time, these housing counselors learn how to design and deliver a home maintenance class. They also learn what expertise to bring in, what partners to bring in to help their organization put on this class, and how to train their homeowners effectively. So I co-teach this class. You're seeing a class here on, this is the most recent one in Chicago at the Institute. And I co-teach this with an amazing trainer named Joanne DePinning, who's also a co-author of Keeping the American Dream, which is the workbook for this class. And I don't mean to sound like a commercial. I just want to give you context for this class and how it may have influenced some of your organizations. You may not know that. Some of your staff may have taken this class, and that's why your organization delivers something like this. But I mentioned that we teach housing counselors how to repair drywall. And we will see these folks at a training institute 4 months later, and they'll say, hey, guess what? I drywalled my basement. And I'll say, I didn't teach you how to do that. I just taught you how to fix and repair drywall. But you know what the lesson it taught me is that people get empowered by these classes. And that was certainly the case with housing counselors. They get very empowered, and they go back and they do these amazing classes. You're going to hear about 2 of them today, and they are empowering their homeowners, and I'm sure they all have some similar stories. I wanted to show you that in San Antonio, we've learned that our homeowners that participate in rehab programs don't have an opportunity to learn how to operate their home. Federally funded rehab programs are built to just get the money out on the streets, to just get the repairs done. And we do so with very little regard to the homeowner. And so what has happened is that we have these, decades of people, some who've received assistance over time, but they don't know how to operate their home. And so 15, 20 years later, they're coming back to the cities and saying, I've got a problem again, can you help me? And so the city of San Antonio, realizing that we are in this huge growth area and that buying a home right now is so hard for low and moderate income families, switched their resources to funding rehabilitation programs locally. So they have put millions of dollars into all kinds of rehab programs. We have, everything from the One Roof program to minor repairs programs to major rehab programs. There's probably 4 or 5 different types of programs being funded here. And we just haven't taken the time in the past to train our homeowners. So I worked with the city to change this through the creation of a home maintenance workshop. I felt like I teach this nationally. I need to do what I'm doing in my own backyard. And they were totally open to it. So these homeowners are invited to this free 4-hour class. We hold it on Saturday mornings. And would you believe that these families want to know more about the sexy topic of foundations, for example? And so some of these families are also, they're getting HVAC systems for the first time. They may have window units, and after the rehab, they have these fancy new HVAC systems, but they don't know how to operate them. They don't know which filter to put in them. They don't know how to turn on and operate the actual programmable thermostat. So these are the kinds of things that we can teach in this class. So this has turned out to be just, and you can see a class here where we have posters. We also have demonstration tables, but I did a little focus group with several of the homeowners and said, hey, what do you want to know? What can we teach you? And then we use every class and the feedback from those classes to adjust the agenda. And boy, are they telling us what they want to know. And that's exactly what happens in the HO 247 classes at the NeighborWorks Institutes. The housing counselors come back and say, we want to know more. We want more hands-on maintenance. Yeah, the financial piece is cool. Yes, we know how to do that because we do pre-purchase counseling. Yeah, we understand people need to be good neighbors, but we all need to know more about home maintenance. And so that's definitely what's going on there. So we have this local class. I train on things like property tax info, home ownership insurance. I teach on transfer on death deeds, which is becoming a huge issue in inner cities across the country right now, that people that have clouded titles or tangled titles. So we teach an alternative to getting an more expensive will is to go out and get a transfer on death deed. I cover those kinds of issues, and I oversee kind of the evaluation process and training the trainers. We have a local nonprofit that have field personnel, and we've trained them to deliver the home maintenance piece. And then the fire department, the Office of Emergency Management, they do these kind of presentations all day long. And so they cover disaster preparedness and safety in the home. What we're finding, though, is many of our homeowners are older and they are not tech savvy, and they don't have the techie resources. They don't have the physical tools. They may not have access to the internet. And this is where many of your organizations can fill that gap. And, you know, we've all seen lately, and we've all experienced this, you know, as a world, we were all held hostage in our homes recently during COVID pandemic, and front and center was all of the wear and tear that we put on our homes every day. And there is nothing like being trapped in your home with kids and pets to help you see everything in that house that needs repairing. And I don't know what happened in your neck of the woods, but in our community, the Habitat restores and the big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's and the local hardware stores saw unprecedented business during that time. And it stands to reason why that happened. We were occupying our homes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so those leaky faucets, the broken electrical outlets, and the banged up walls were staring at us every day. So that experience led right into another set of circumstances that made it difficult for our clients, our low and moderate income customers, to maintain their homes. And we've seen that here locally, and I'm sure across the country, the rising interest rates are impacting our homeowners. There's climate change and the major weather events in our cities that are forcing many communities to prepare for more and more disasters. We hear that from the people in our classes all the time. Inflation is eating away at spending budgets, and thus we have limited resources. And that's resulting in less emergency savings for our families. And of course, the major headline in many communities today is rising property taxes and home insurance rates, which are causing more foreclosures and rising foreclosure rates in many of your your areas. And on top of that, many of our areas are experiencing shortage of skilled labor. So today, you know, that average low and moderate income homeowner is experiencing a lot of financial pressures. But many of I think many of these things cause an opportunity for us as housing nonprofits that we can fill a gap here. And many of you are doing this, and it's proving very successful. You know, homeowner education works, and especially homeowner workshops after the fact are in and of themselves foreclosure prevention. So after they close on that loan and come back for a class, that is when to do your foreclosure prevention education, right then and there, before they get into trouble. And these programs are contributing to homeowner sustainability across the country. You can be that liaison that fills those gaps in your community. You know, there are probably limited resources. There's that digital divide we talked about. And then there's just people that need to know how to operate their home. Our city decided to do a more user-friendly set of property tax meetings, for example. Wow, did they catch on? And pretty soon they were turning 100 people away per meeting. They had all of these people from the St. Mary's Law School. They had people from our appraisal district. They had volunteer attorneys come in. And so people were coming in to learn about what their exemptions were, what the process was for protesting taxes. This caught on like wildfire. And there's no reason why in your community you can't be that hero, you can't be that organization that fills that gap and delivers those types of user-friendly programs today. And that's just one example of the way you can customize your class for homeowners. You can also do the homeownership workshop idea. Learning how to operate one's home is nothing new. You know, we're seeing HGTV. We are seeing the increase in TikTok, YouTube home hacks. I like the Handyman magazine that's online. All of these are resources that many homeowners are tapping into, but our homeowners may not be comfortable in those areas, may not have access to all those things. And this is where you can serve as that bridge to homeowners learning more about how to operate their home. So today you're going to hear two great examples of organizations, nonprofits who are doing this every day in their organization and doing it very successful and helping to keep their homeowners in their homes and living and thriving in a sustainable way. So Marcia, I want to thank you for inviting me today. I'll stick around to help answer any questions, but we'll turn it over to the other panelists.
That's great. Thanks, Lori. And, you know, I don't know why it only occurred to me while we were listening to you just now, but your class could be a great first step for any of our audience who doesn't really have anything started yet, just to get a really hands-on, very detailed primer on how these programs work, how to set them up, all of that. So I put information about where to access, the schedule at NeighborWorks Training Institute for Lori's class into the chat. So next, we're going to hear from Keisha Allen, who is the director of the Home Repair Resource Center. It's in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and I'm sure she's going to tell us a little bit about Cleveland Heights. But I also learned that she takes her show on the road from time to time, so she gets around in the greater Cleveland region as well with what she does. So Keisha, how about sharing some slides with us and telling us about your operation?
Absolutely. Let me get to this. And again, I want to thank Marcia and Ann for having me speak today. And Yeah, so again, I'm Keisha Allen, Executive Director at Home Repair Resource Center. We're a nonprofit HUD certified counseling agency located in Cleveland Heights, like Marsha said. We are not what most would consider a middle neighborhood. In our area, Northeast Ohio, we're considered the inner ring suburbs. And shout out to some of my colleagues on the call from Shaker Heights, Theo, as well as Shar from Maple Heights, and Tony over on the west side of Cleveland. So a little bit about what we do. Home Repair Resource Center is a nonprofit organization that's been around for exactly 52 years. And we've been able to provide accessible and affordable home maintenance and repair assistance for homeowners, particularly those of low to moderate incomes. And, I've been trying to change that misnomer. A lot of times when folks talk about the things that we do, they kind of put us into, oh, you're the poor people's agency. No, we're the homeowners agency. And all of our services, most of our services are available to all residents of Cuyahoga County and some resources outside as well. So we're just more than a place for just home repairs. We kind of call ourselves a community of individuals that support individuals who want to invest in themselves through skill development and acquisition. My team always says we never do for people, we always do with people. So we have this sense of empowering homeowners to feel confident about taking on their home repairs. And by offering learning and personal growth opportunities, HRRC empowers homeowners to enhance their competencies and gain confidence and achieve personal growth. So we do a lot of things in our shop. It's kind of hard to explain all the things that we do. So we kind of strive to do a few things in many of the programs that we have. So we want to definitely promote recognition to the need to preserve and maintain, upgrade our older housing. So in Cleveland Heights, we have what we call a century-old housing stock, as well as many of the similar inner ring suburbs, as well as Northeast Ohio. So we're talking about homes built in the 1920s and later, and really having kind of that expertise in understanding how to maintain them in a way that builds community and also promotes their investment. We also like to address forces that negatively impact maintenance of the housing stock through education, advocacy, and programming. That's a lot of things I do at my chair, the things that my team does out in the community, and kind of the resources that we have. As a HUD-approved counseling agency, we also try to strengthen the financial management skills of homeowners, potential first-time homebuyers, so they'll be able to manage money, improve credit, and make wise financial decisions so they can prevent foreclosure. And we also provide the tools, instructions, and other resources that help homeowners be homeowners, right? We want to make sure everybody succeeds when they kind of take on this investment and this challenge of home ownership, and all of our programs fit to do that. So we do it in a various array of different ways. We definitely have our home buyer education programs, being that we are a HUD certified counseling agency. We have a director of home ownership counseling. We do our home buyer education series monthly. That also has that component of home maintenance involved in the 4th class. We provide down payment assistance programs, being that we are in the entitlement city of Cleveland Heights. We have a tool library, our project repair workshops, which includes our women's only series. I'll talk about that. We'll have a senior repair program that's specific to seniors for things, even just contracting a contractor, how to age in place, how to work with contractors, kind of some of those things that Lori was talking about in estate planning, all of those things. We have what we call our contractor database, which is our original Angie's List, I like to say, where people call and ask for certified, licensed, insured, bonded contractors to do work for them. And this is a list that we hold as proprietary. So it's not on our website. These people work with us and they trust that, we're going to give them good clients as well as vice versa. So and we also provide home repair technical assistance for people trying to do things. So kind of about our origins, Home Repair Resource Center, like I said, was started in 1971 in the basement of a church, Forest Hills Presbyterian Church. Parishioners really focused and wanted to support homeowners doing the urban sprawl, right, from living in Cleveland kind of to the suburbs, and wanted to provide services that welcomed them in and also were good stewards to show them how to keep their homes in good repair. So the program pretty much started with a loan guarantee, some funds to actually help homeowners get the repairs done, especially for homeowners who were labeled not credit worthy or didn't have the equity to be able to qualify for a home equity loan. From that, they said, okay, we can provide the funds, but let's also provide the actual technical assistance. And that's where our project repair program pretty much started. The format originally was women only, and we took the show on the road, like Marcia said. We actually went to class participants' homes and did the work, right? So even in this picture, these women are on top of the garage, taking the top of the garage off on one of the participants' garages, right? We would go from the garage, and then we would do some work interior, and this would be a 6-week class. Obviously, this could not be sustainable, being that the class cost $5. We had one administrator, and we had to go back and fix the work that we didn't complete. We had to pay for the materials. We had to kind of do all of that rigmarole, and we pretty much found out very quickly that this program wouldn't be sustainable. So we've done a lot of soul searching and kind of revamped and quantified and qualified the services that we actually provide. So things that have kind of evolved. We have now a women's and a co-ed classes. We try to have anywhere from 3 to 5 classes per night, all on the weekdays primarily. But we do things on the weekends based on our programming, based on our contract. We actually get professionals to teach the classes. We've gone out and made great relationships with the contractors who we provide business to, and they oftentimes come in anywhere from 7 to 9 p.m. and teach our participants for free, so they're getting that real life experience. We also realize that in a city in Cleveland Heights of about 45,000 folks, maybe some people have taken our classes once or twice, so we needed to expand who we were offering to. So in Northeast Ohio, we have what is called community development corporations, which are in different neighborhoods, some middle neighborhoods, where we partner in. We have partnerships with other suburbs, other cities. We've been working with the Cleveland Public Library, the Cuyahoga County Library. We do stuff with schools, churches, and even some of our classes. If people who are potential families for Habitat for Humanity, instead of going to sell their materials at the resale shop, they can come in and get the education from us, and that partnership goes towards their sweat equity hours. Class and courses fees, there's low to moderate income discounts, sliding scale, city discounts. But we quantify that, for $25, people would want to come and do something hands-on, or even get some kind of lecture or education or experience. So we've quantified that to make sure that we're keeping a sustainable program. Right now, the program has a class education coordinator and a class administrator kind of doing the programs. So our project repair education programs, it's a self-help education program that teaches and empowers homeowners how to understand and perform their own repair. Typically, we really strive to make sure everything is hands-on, especially that we charge for. We do have a free Monday once a month where it's more of a lecture series where folks are getting documents and can actually ask the instructors more so than actually doing hands-on. And we typically tailor the curriculum based on trends, not necessarily HGTV trends, but things that people are coming in that we see with our financial assistance program needing repairs. And we do things based on seasons and try to make sure that we're making a variety of class offerings for people to make sure they are getting everything. This is just a basic slide of the things that we're doing. I would take you to the back, but we have a full workshop where we build our own models. Workshop is, about 1,000 square feet. We have a portable house. A lot of things are on casters. We have a back lot where we do a lot of things. So we try to make sure everything is primarily hands-on. And this is just a kind of brief listing of our home repair our classes that we've offered this year. Again, we do things based on trends, but we do them based on seasons. So we're doing classes this month, primarily based on fall, getting your lawn ready for fall, foundations, installation, caulking, weatherization, those types of things. I kind of mentioned this already. In order to kind of take our show on the road, we needed to make sure that we're covering our overhead and we're not reinventing the wheel. We don't want to go into places where they already have these programs. We want to kind of go in and support these quote unquote CDCs or these organizations or agencies who are trying to support their homeowners. So we've created what we call these memorandum of understandings for these workshops. We typically do anywhere between 3 and 6 classes once a week. In the neighborhood, whether it be in an abandoned home or a home that the city has occupied and we have access to, not abandoned. We go to community centers. We're at farmers markets, again, because we've made our model so we can take our show on the road. Our contractors are awesome people that they're willing to go out with us. So it's not just our team doing the instruction. And you know, we have to make some money. So we do a monetary fee of a base fee about $300 for three or so workshops per class. And you know, we have to get waivers and all that good stuff, especially when you're dealing with children. One thing I like to talk about is you know, we've done things with the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts where we've done simple. We prefabbed birdhouses and toolboxes. So, you know, kids get familiar with drills and start to think about things in regards to repair, whether it be for their future home or maybe their ideas in future trades. So we're really excited about doing that. Some of the statistics, and this is not the biggest slide in the world, but and I'll kind of go into our women's home to model, but this year's statistics, we've had 7 modules. Each module has 6 classes, 128 unduplicated women, and we've been able to bring in about a little under $10,500. Our project repair to date, we've had 50 workshops with a full schedule all the way through to the end of the month. 428 students with a revenue of about $8,000. So again, this is with our funding and thinking about, you know, if you're thinking about creating something like this in your shop, you know, you got to have some seed money. And then once you kind of get that seed money, you just kind of organize the program to make sure, you know, no one's going to, as nonprofits, we're not here to be rich, but make sure that, you know, you're providing resources and your team all the tools they need to be successful. And like I said, this is something that we've grown to doing just with cities and have expanded all the way to being able to do them in everywhere. So like I said, the Women's Home to series kind of came about with the understanding that in most of the classes that you have, especially with men in them, sometimes they may be a little bit more boisterous. Women may be a little bit more passive in their willingness to ask questions or to kind of dig in there and get in there. So this women's series is pretty cool in that we're really empowering women, and we really set up our series to do functional things. So my favorite series of the women's series is obviously the carpentry and interior repairs. This is where we go from the studs. So our team sets up studs. First class, we're talking about power tools and safety. And so from the beginning of the class, you start out with 2 corners and a floor from the studs. Then you move into drywall, ceramic tiling on those floors, as well as putting the flooring in. So by the end of the class, you've kind of, the women have created their own mini version of a wall in a home when you're talking about the tile, the drywall, the flooring, and everything else that goes to build it. Again, these are great classes. We pride ourselves on holding these classes, and oftentimes men say, well, why are you just doing this for women? Why can't we do co-ed ones? So we've been able to break them down to do 3-week sessions of co-ed classes, and we do put some series together based on subject title throughout the year. But this is kind of our bread and butter. The courses are $150 for the 6-week course. You get everything, as well as, like I said, low to moderate income folks get a discount. So teach everybody about how to do things. How are you going to do them without the tools? Well, we actually have a tool library in which we have over 1,200 tools in our online catalog where the tools can be viewed. You can actually make your reservation. It's pretty much all right there. And you can even just come in during the tool library hours just to check things out. We have 373 members. We relaunched this in 2016. And this seems to be something when we do shut it down, either for the end of the year, after Thanksgiving, or when it's been on hiatus due to staffing issues. This is one of the programs that the community really asks us to keep going. Anybody in Cuyahoga County can sign up for it. We ask that contractors don't, obviously, because they do a little bit of wear and tear on our tools. We don't have anything gas powered in our tool library. That's an insurance and liability issue. But we do have some tools that we do actually ask for extra deposit, being that they're higher maintenance, right? So we got the Forest Snake and the hand sander, and we do offer sandpaper and pads for those. Fees, come up, but we're not here to make money off this program. We're pretty flexible in allowing people to have things, 1 week, 2 week, and having that online registration system really helps us kind of navigate how we can interact with the community. When I first was here, we were doing deposits on every tool, as well as carbon copy receipts, and it was just all a mess. So I think going digital has made the program more accessible, and people are kind of into what we're doing. Quick picture of our tool library. Everything's labeled. Our previous team member, Stephanie Blessing, did a great job getting this up. And one thing that I think is cool about this, where you have Home Depot, or we have locally, it's called Handy Rents, or any of your tool rental places, you usually get them for hours or maybe a day. You get it just like a book. You get it here for 7 days. And we're open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just kind of a little analysis about what goes on in the tool library. Just today, as of today, we've had over 1,500 tools loaned out. We made a decent amount of money. And again, we originally got our tools through a partnership with another city who had HUD tool, or tools that had purchased through HUD, which they couldn't technically sell or get any income from. So we created an MOU where we would host repair education classes in that city for a year, as well as all of their residents would have access to the tool library for a year. And then we were able to kind of get it off the road, or up and off the ground from there, through other contributions, whether it be philanthropic or financial institutions. So as you can see, our floor sander is the big tool to be loaned. A puller bear to get weeds out, and I kind of just like to have this for my team. I ask for monthly statistics just so I can share with folks like you and the community kind of the value and seeing where things are going, and how often this program is being used. This is a brief slide. We're pretty much everywhere we can be, and even if you see on the top right, we bring our models of toilets everywhere. Our chop saws, those are all our things that we bring, and folks are really happy to have it. And it's kind of obvious, right? Why this benefits homeowners. And Lori talked about the importance of education. We want to educate. No one's dumb. We like to think people think and have a good grasp of things, but we're a place where you can fine tune your expertise or learn something you've never known. And I'm very, very, very lucky to have a team of folks who are passionate about our effort, our mission, our vision, and always willing to help. We do deal with a lot of seniors, a lot of widowers. And so just kind of being that place that not only provides, right, the carrot, the money, but also the education, the kind of confidence that you need when you're taking on, home repairs. You don't often hear about mechanics offering how-to classes, right? But the fact that this resource, Home Repair Resource Center, is here, we invite folks to ask the hard questions, ask the easy questions, and my talented and knowledgeable staff is always willing and able to help everyone. So with that being said, I again just want to thank Marcia and Ann and our other panelists for allowing me the opportunity to share what we do here. I'm always really excited about being able to do that and sharing what we do. We're a little pocket located in the inner ring suburbs, but our we're trying to expand our reach without ever diluting our product, and hope that you guys get empowered or inspired to think about ideas and ways to maybe bring some of these resources to your shop. So again, thank you, Marcia. Thanks to the panelists, and thanks to Ann. And
Thank
I'll be around.
you, Keisha. Now, Keisha, Ann tells me there's a story about chainsaws.
Yeah, the story is we don't have any.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
okay.
The story, when we made kind of having that qualitative conversation about what we bring back and what we use. When you talk to your insurance company about having chainsaws, generators, anything that's an extra liability, you might not be able to fund it. So, we go to the extent of 40-foot ladders are kind of our scary thing that we have. It's hard to get on a car as well as hard to put up and be safe with them. That's kind of our poison tool, but for the most part, no chainsaws and nothing gas powered for the most part. And we don't do anything really electric powered too, because when people come back with those batteries, whether you're using Ryobi or anything else, you they don't have a long shelf life. So yeah, and no chainsaws.
Gotcha. No chainsaws.
So thank you.
And then if we have time at the end, would you be able to walk us through your shop the way you did those of us who are on the prep call? Is there anything going on in your shop right now, Keisha?
No, everything is in the evening. All of our classes are 6, in the evening.
Right.
So yeah,
so everybody hang out. We might be able
have
to get a tour of her shop. So thanks a lot, Keisha. So doesn't everybody wish they had that in wherever? I certainly do. I'd love to take her women only classes. But there are, you don't have to go from 0 to 60 or whatever. We used to say that because I think that was the speed limit. Wherever she is, wherever Keisha is, she grew into that. And one of the ways that you can grow into that is by, if you're doing home buyer education or you have a partner that does home buyer education in your community, you can start to work with them and start to add in some classes to their curriculum that get at the same kinds of topics. And Claudia is here to help us learn more about how Affordable Homes of South Texas does that. And it could be another jumping off point for you as you try to incorporate these services into your community. So welcome, Claudia. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Everyone, my name is Claudia Salazar. I am one of the HUD certified home buyer advisors with Affordable Homes of South Texas. Just to give you a little bit of background on Affordable Homes, we are located in McAllen, Texas, at the most southern part of Texas that you can find. We did start in 1976 with rehabbing homes to improve conditions here in the city of McAllen. But since then, we have expanded our services throughout the Rio Grande Valley. We also do new construction homes. We do rehab homes around the area. Our counseling services, we offer pre-purchase counseling, foreclosure prevention. We also offer our home buyer education courses once a month. We offer financial management and credit courses twice a month. And then we do our post-purchase classes, which are hands-on training on fire safety. We have different topics. Fire safety is one of them. Home improvement, home maintenance is another. We have estate planning. We have how to maintain healthy homes among some of our classes that we do offer through the post-purchase class. So we do have a different variety of subjects that we cover. Our programs are based completely, we don't charge for our services. Our services are completely dependent on federal funds and grants for our classes. We also depend on a lot of the community donations that are coming in to help maintain our classes every month. So that's why our post-purchase classes are offered only once a month, because we do depend on those donations that are coming in. Well, these are one of the lists of the items or the services that we offer. Like I said, we do have the counseling services. But we also offer the lending services because our organization is what we call a one-stop shop. We do the counseling for the pre-purchasing, and then we also do the servicing of our loans. The lending, the servicing, we offer different varieties like FHA, USDA, VA loans through our program as well. And then the additional services that we have, as I mentioned, we have the rehab homes, replacement homes. If the homes are too deteriorated or we see that they're not going to be able to be rehabbed, then we do offer the replacement. And then we have emergency grants for any day-to-day things that may come up, like if a roof needs fixing and water heater needs to be changed, things like that, small emergencies that come up where the homeowner is not able to pay for them, then they can apply for emergency grants to see if they would be eligible, if they would be able to qualify for those. And also those are typically bigger around the times that we have bad weather, like when a couple of years ago we had really bad weather, freezing temperatures for the lower Rio Grande Valley. Nothing compared to up north, right? But freezing temperatures for us, where a lot of people were without electricity, things like that. We offered those emergency grants just to get them assistance with like food and things like that that they lost during the time that they had no light. We also experience a lot of flooding and things like that, so those emergency grants do come in handy. But our main focus or our main focus for myself is the post-purchase classes, where we do offer, like I said, the hands-on training for weatherization and home improvement. Our home improvement class is probably the most popular class. We do always have a lot of people in attendance for that class because we try to teach different methods on how to make home repairs around your home. We try to teach different, we have different procedures that are used. That you can go with the most basic, the cheapest route, and then if you want to go a little bit on the higher end, then they do offer different different options, alternatives for you to use if you don't have many supplies or much money coming in, so that you can make these more affordable for yourself, where you don't necessarily have to hire somebody to do the work. You can do it for yourself. All our classes that we offer, they are in person. During the pandemic, we did have to shy away from them a little bit because of the fact that they were in person. We weren't able to have them as much, but now that it's post-pandemic, we're starting to get back into it. We did see a lot of need for the classes to be done online. So we've started to have our classes hybrid. We can do them in person, and then if you want to join on the links, then we can do them on Zoom as well. We do a lot of our advertising via social media. That is probably the biggest way that we get people to come in and they hear about our classes. They hear it through social media, through our Facebook, through our Instagram, YouTube. We do a lot of YouTube videos. We do a lot of mail outs, but I think that social media is one of the biggest ways that we get word out about our classes, because of a lot of our community is really on social media. This slide right here, it's going to show you, it's just an example of the one of the promos that we do for our class. If you want to hit play, that way you can see kind of what we do on that.
We might not have audio for it. Oh, there. You might have to hit the audio, Anne. We'll find the link to this and put
Yeah,
it.
I can send you a link to that. That's no
Yeah,
problem.
too.
So, and it's just on our website, on our YouTube page. But the instructors that come into the class, we do depend a lot on the community. So we request a lot of time, donating their time. If they can't donate like to the class to provide tools or material needed for the class, and they come and they donate their time, the professionals around the area, they'll come and they'll donate their time. But we also have instructors who go out and get HUD certified. For example, like Hector Aleman, you saw him in one of the videos. He also took one of the post-purchase classes offered by Lori, and he's able to come in, and he has a lot of experience, but now that he's trained, he's able to come in and jump in whenever we don't have instructors available, so that he can go ahead and help us out with those classes. So that's basically what we do. We try to we get a lot of people to come in and donate their time, and then they come in and they show you basically what we do. This class is Fix It Yourself Sheetrock, but it was also on weatherization. So we try to get people to learn different things that they can do around the home. This was one of our busiest classes.
Fix It Yourself Sheetrock 101 class happening Saturday, October
I've
29th
obviously
at
got
our
the audio.
McAllen, Texas.
That was the audio on our video. But yeah, these slides right here is just showing you the classes that we have. And this one, like I said, it was one of our most popular classes that we do, the Fix It Yourself Sheetrock. We do get a lot of elderly women and women to come into the home, to come into the classes, excuse me, to get assistance, because a lot of people don't have anyone to help them. So our classes, even though they're geared for everyone and we welcome everyone to attend, it's mostly women and the elderly who come in and attend our classes. It's the same class, and if you want to skip to, we have a home right here, the Fred Munguia Training House. So this looks like a regular home, but from the inside, it was built just to help people get an idea of what it was like and what they see in their homes. So inside the home, we offer, our classes are offered there, and we have different stations set up for to help with the plumbing, as far as the restroom plumbing, the pipes that we use, the what's inside your in your home, like the sheetrock, and we do so we offer different pictures and things like that. I'm drawing a blank right now, but we do offer different services, different stations where we go and we teach you, okay, in this station it's going to be plumbing, then this is what you have to do, because it's so easy for us to take, for example, when we're doing the sheetrock training, we cut out sheetrock and we build a box for it. But I mean, it's much easier to do it on a box than it is to do it on the wall at your house, because you can't move the wall, right? You can move the box around to get it to work for you, but you can't move the wall around. So that's why that was the purpose of having the training house, so people could see hands-on. This is what we do. For doorknobs, things like that, you can't move the door, so try to fix the doorknob on the door, things like that. So that was the purpose of having the training house. We did have to step away from using it for a while, but now that it's post-pandemic, we are getting back into it and trying to offer our classes more often. And these are just examples of what the training house looks like. From the outside, it looks normal, but on the inside, it just breaks it down on different stations around the home.
Okay, I guess you can go back to her last slide, and I think we're that must be your last slide, Claudia, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't know that you had that house set aside, which is what, as Lori pointed out in the chat, it's really also great so that you can show people where usually you can find the water shutoffs and electricity and all of that. You know, suddenly it's making me wonder, do I know where the water shutoff is in my house? Oh, I hate to admit that. Okay.
I didn't know it either until I took this class. So
okay. So that is really interesting. So everybody, for sure, start typing any questions you have into the Q&A or into the chat. I'm going to pose a question for all of you. You know, one of our recent webinars was with Eric Hangen talking about all of the significant funding that's going to be starting to be released around sustainable energy, and kind of a lot of which will be retrofitting housing stock so that it's using, you know, more sustainable forms of energy, say, you know, electric heat pumps and solar and things like that. And it makes me really wonder whether there are going to be opportunities for existing sort of post-purchase and home repair programs and organizations that do rehab and all of that to sort of tap into those funds and start to teach people like the basics of solar and what kind of shape your roof needs to be in if you're going to do solar, and how to evaluate solar contractors and how to evaluate whether it's for you and things like that. Has anyone here thought about that yet?
Are you asking the panel?
Yes, the panel, yeah.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, because it's in Texas, and probably many of you across the country have experienced maybe your grid going down for a few hours, and we certainly experienced that in a storm that was referenced earlier called Uri. We don't get ice, we don't get snow in Texas, but we are now with climate change. And so that throws us into major turmoil. We don't have the equipment to deal with that. That including electric bills that are going up and starting to financially threaten a lot of homeowners, in addition to taxes and insurance, are forcing people to look at alternative sources of insurance. I mean, alternative sources of energy, such as solar. And the problem is there are so many companies out there, you don't know who's going to be there tomorrow. So that's part of what you can do as an organization. And that's something we're looking at, is we can vet those. We can go out and see who has a track record in the community, who's got a good company that looks like it's going to stick around, and that has a product that has been here for a while, and they're on the and they're also doing their job in vetting solar panels and products and stuff. And with the new legislation that passed federally, I think that alternative energy options are going to become more available, and that they are going to be a more viable option for all homeowners, and not just the rich country singers, who are trying to they're building a 30,000 square foot home and need to save money. It's going to be available to everybody. So I think that's where nonprofits can fill those kinds of gaps, and don't feel like you have to do it all on your own. Go find those green organizations with credibility in your community and partner with them. They want to get to customers too. And you have that platform, you have that access. So bring them in, partner, and definitely include that as part of your overall programming.
I did get the idea. I mean, that the funding that we're talking about was part of the infrastructure bill that got passed. And it's, I think there's something in the neighborhood of $400 billion, you guys. And although that money is not out on the street yet, one of the things that's making everybody bite their nails is that it's going to be distributed through a number of different federal agencies. Each one has their own, program guidelines, their own schedule, their own grant application, all of that. And as I understand it, the only way to sort of keep up with that is to be following all of their websites. I won't go into all of that right now, but if you weren't here for our webinar last time with Eric Hangen about this, I think that you should really consider going back and watching that webinar, or at least downloading his slides, which are full of links to the different agencies, so that you can maybe appoint someone in your organization to start following them, get on their mailing list, and make sure when that money is there. I mean, the kind of money, one of the things he said is that nationally, in order to meet the goals they have set, we're going to have to up the sort of rehab and home improvement and sort of infrastructure by 25% every single year. And that's big. And I think there's money there to do it. So for instance, it really makes me wonder if organizations like Keisha's and Claudia's could apply for big grants and really, you know, dedicate a whole part of their section of their classes and informational sessions about energy and energy sources. I guess it's something to look into. I think Keisha is set up to maybe take us on that tour now. Is that right, Keisha?
We'll try the best we can.
Okay. Here she
And
goes.
it's behind a firewall for the most part. So, this is our tool room.
Mhm.
It's completely compatible. We have a projector for our lectures type series, but this is where we host our classes 4 nights a week. Most of the things we built modules. So with electricity class, this is how you circuit a whole house, to the plumbing classes, to everything being on casters. So we can kind of take the show on the road. And then in our back area is one part of our tool library where we have the dangerous 40-foot ladders and other things. And then I'll take you real quick through our actual tool library where everything's kind of, and our building is the old Kingdom Hall. So we've been able to kind of convert it to our needs, but this is the tool library. Everything's online and categorized for the most part. And like this, you see here, there's nothing gas powered in here. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's our shop.
Great. Thank you. That's amazing. We had question in here about how, you know, what are your other sources of funding? And maybe we could start with Claudia, how people particularly ask, how do you fund the, you know, having that house sitting there available for your use? And also, I think people were interested in how you fund your rehab program.
So all our funds go through our grant department. Our grant department goes out and basically requests and writes grants so that we can get all these programs funded. So they would be the ones who handle who handle all those donations and things like that. We also have on our website, we have a button or a section for if anybody within the community wants to donate. They are able to go directly into our website and hit the donate button, and they're able to donate towards our funds. But yeah, all our funds, like the home and all the programs that we have, they are funded through grants that our grant department obtains throughout the years.
So they could be partly funded by CDBG, you know, federal distributions, or they could be partly funded by local foundation grants. It probably just depends. Keisha, do you want to talk about how your funding sources?
Yeah, Cleveland Heights is an entitlement city, and we receive community development CDBG funds for a lot of our program. The tricky thing about CDBG and trying to do this is program income, right? So if you're selling memberships, actually selling the classes, it gets kind of tricky. So we oftentimes go to our financial institution for support, as well as our philanthropic dollars. Northeast Ohio has the largest density of foundations, so we oftentimes kind of pin on them. And then cities, right? We talked about these memorandums of understanding. If you want to bring us here, we can't do it for free, right? So creating that relationship, quantifying the program so you can, you know, make sure your overhead is taken care of, and make sure you're still providing the actual quality, right? So quantify it based on your overhead, and then qualify it based on your actual material.
Mm-hmm. And Deborah Moore, who is a fantastic consultant who used to work with NHS Chicago, notes that they received ARPA funds for small home repairs for seniors. And so there are a lot of different funding sources. Lori, do you have any overview? Do you have any sense of how most of your class members are getting funded?
Yes, we have such a housing crisis here because we are one of the fastest growing areas of the country. We have tons of Californians coming into Texas right now. And so that is depleting our housing supply. So the city has passed bond initiatives, but they're also putting general funds aside because our property taxes are growing up, our city's bringing in a lot of tax dollars as a result of that and other things. So they're setting aside those kind of dollars, which is unprecedented.
Mhm.
Usually it's just CDBG and federal dollars, home dollars, so yeah, the city funds the class. This kind of a class is not that expensive now. I mean, Keisha, obviously, there's a lot of one-time, what I would call, cost in the setup. Same thing with Ashty's house and such. You have that one-time cost of getting it set up, but I think the year-to-year operations are pretty reasonable. And you can run a pretty basic program by training volunteers and such. Keisha's and Ashty's, they were what I would call very high level premium classes, but they're obviously filling a huge need in their community. There are some cities that need this and they'll fund it. They want it and they'll fund it. In my opinion, Habitats are a natural partner in this. They're already set up, they're already funded, they already have this kind of infrastructure for these kind of classes and can be natural partners.
Yeah. And in terms of just rehab lending, if you have, no experience whatsoever with lending, it probably makes sense to poke around and see if there is a CDFI in your city or your region, a community development financial institution, which probably, Claudia, yours is a CDFI. So it's a certification from Treasury, I think, the Treasury Department, but it means that you do lending to communities, you meet financial needs that aren't met by the regular market, and it makes you eligible for special funding from the Treasury Department. But it also serves as sort of a good housekeeping seal of approval for other funders who want to invest in a lending operation and know that it's safe and sound and doing what it needs to do. We did a webinar on that a while back too, about, even if it's more than a notion to go from zero to becoming a CDFI lending operation, but chances are there's one in your community or serving your community that you partner with on the rehab lending products. And city governments will do those too. So Lori did, I realize now, she answered a couple of questions in the Q&A. One of them was about marketing programs. So let's everybody talk about how you promote your programs. Well, I mean, Keisha, you did talk a little bit about how you'll set up at a farmer's market. Even
We only go there if we're invited.
if you're invited, okay.
Yeah. So typically, my team is more advanced than I am on the technology portion, even though I probably look so young or whatever. But they do the Facebook, the Twitter. We haven't gotten into the TikTok yet. But we have a robust newsletter that goes out to about 3,100 folks, where we talk about our weekly programming, anything else going on in the community. So that's been good. And then I mentioned in our planning call, with everything moving so fast, I really encourage my team to flyer, right? We send flyers, we send things through mail. I mean, it's cheaper for us because we don't have to do nonprofit, but I task my team to make trifolds. We put them in all the libraries, we put them in all the coffee shops, all the community centers within our city or any, kind of touching city. With our new partnership with the Cuyahoga County Public Library, we send them our flyer and it goes out to their whole list throughout, the county once a month. So, I think there's a good mix. There can be a good mix of the new school and the old school, but I'm very into, flyers or just being in places. Our area hosts a lot of these community fairs where sometimes there's more of us, meaning vendors in the room, than there is participants. So I don't really encourage that. I just want people to be out there talking about our mission and getting people excited about what we do. So it's a good blend of old school and new school for us.
Yeah, and Lori, you tell us about how you promote the San Antonio.
So the grant recipients all receive an orientation, and it's just talked about in the orientation. And so many of them want to attend. They hear about it and they're interested in it. But this is also happens. People start talking and they're like, you need to go to this class. And that's what's happening with ours. Outside organizations are now approaching us. We held this in a resource center that proved the best advertising ever because it was in a community resource center on a Saturday. And all these people stopped by and they were like, I need this class. I want this class, or my church needs this class, or neighborhood associations need this class. So it's catching on now, and we're being asked to deliver the class to more and different types of groups. So it just, once you get it underway and this starts happening, especially in nonprofits, you get a lot of the grassroots support. But I've seen nonprofits do something as simple as just post once a month on Facebook, or do a little film like Claudia showed for Ashty, a little YouTube that they also put on their website, but they also have it on YouTube. And it's all these different formats because we're dealing with 4 generations today in the classroom. You have to do everything. Like Keisha said, the flyers work too, the mail outs still work. And if you're dealing with older homeowners, guess what? You're dealing with baby boomers and more. You need to do every type of marketing that you can because you have so many audiences to reach.
Yeah. And Claudia, you want to add anything to that marketing?
So word of mouth is also one of the big things. I agree with that. Word of mouth is one of the most popular ways that we can get people to come into our classes or to hear about us. A lot of people just walk in off the streets because they want to get information and our flyers and they'll be out there for them so they can have availability of what our class schedules are going to be. Also, we do a lot of calling to offer ourselves to organizations to try to get out there and to offer our programs and our services a lot to organizations. So we're on the phone a lot trying to market ourselves out there. In addition to the social media and the videos, sometimes we make really cheesy YouTube videos for people to watch, but a lot of the times those cheesy videos, they think they're funny and it attracts them. So we try to be silly, we try to be serious, anything that we try to work with them or try to be more on level with our customers, so that way they can come in and
that's great.
our sources.
I don't get the impression talking to you guys like demand is a problem. It's more like once this becomes available, like there is so much pent-up demand for it. And I have to say, I guess it's the same reason, maybe it just didn't occur to me, but I am surprised that every city in America isn't figuring out some way to make sure this happens, because the city's housing stock is a huge asset that can either be, gaining in value or declining in value. And why not try and figure out, how to empower your community members to maintain that asset. It's extremely important. So yeah, everybody, I think that we need to get these out here. I'm scanning now the Q&A. Aaron Randall said something interesting when you were talking about renewable energy. They say we went solar through a co-op in Cuyahoga County. They offer overview classes at libraries. Interesting, right? solarunitedneighbors.org. I really think, you guys, that we have to get out in front of this solar thing. There's going to be when money becomes available, then all the people who can get you to pay for their service follow right behind. And out here in Arizona, I definitely experienced that, where I was bombarded with calls from different solar companies competing for my business. So I interviewed a couple of them, but anyway, I think it would have been nice if there had been a class to know how to evaluate them. The Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, Terry Gerhardt is talking about partnering with the city and county energy resource officials on a grow solar program. Launched an Energy Advantage deferred loan earlier this year that focuses on the home envelope efficiency of the home. That's fascinating. Terry, are you still here? Do you want to unmute and tell us more about that? I don't know if Terry's still here or not. That happened a while ago. Oh, there's Terry. Okay, Terry, unmute yourself and tell us more about that. And tell us more about who you work with.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the time. So good information here today. So thanks for all the participants for sharing everything they do in the community. We are in Des Moines, Iowa. We are a CDFI, but we are also a licensed lender. So with Neighborhood Finance Corp. And we specialize just in neighborhood revitalization and renovation loans. So what we did earlier this year was we developed an Energy Advantage deferred loan program. So when borrowers come to us looking to do different improvements, every conversation we're having with borrowers today talks about improving the utility expense or just reducing the utility cost on a home. So we focus on weatherization, insulation, the air exchange with windows, entry doors, the heating and cooling, maybe going to either higher efficiency, Energy Star certified hot water heaters, HVAC systems, maybe converting over to heat pumps. And then of course the solar thing is part of that too. So Richard Cook and I here, we took a class through Inclusive earlier this year. Where we went through the University of New Hampshire. It was a sponsored course. It was a solar certification class. So we became more familiar with how to have conversations around solar. And as part of that transition, we were able to take pieces out where we've got a tool that we use to help vet solar contractors. So there's a lot of different contractors out there that do different things, some of them good, some of them bad. So what that's helped us to do is really understand who those contractors are, what they do, and just put us in a position of strength. And this particular contractor that we work with, when people come to us wanting to do solar, we just have information now that we can have that good conversation with, and then know that we've got trusted partners that we can refer those people back to so that they know they're being taken care of. And so a lot of money coming out with the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. That's going to be coming out. Probably the awards are coming out in July. And so we're looking to expand that. But on top of forgivable money, and what we do with the deferred loan program is we're able to reduce the financing costs for borrowers to really drive affordability. So they can get up to $10,000 towards the cost of those energy efficient improvements or solar projects deferred on top of forgivable money. So when they're looking at swapping out, an investment that they're making to eliminate an electric bill, we're getting back to where we're kind of being able to illustrate a better cost savings up front, just because the fact that investment is going to be so much more affordable for them.
That's fascinating. So this is exactly the kind of thing, Terry, that I'm talking about, that I would love to see being worked into all of the, homebuyer education, post-purchase education, counseling, a home repair class sort of curricula, is knowing things like that. Daryl posted a question: is it more expensive to go solar after the home is built? That's a very complicated question, Daryl. And, for just a short answer is that for myself, being not income eligible for anything except a tax credit, which you have to earn enough income to actually declare to use a tax credit, right? it's basically I swapped out my existing energy costs for financing the cost of the solar panels on my roof. And in
Yeah.
theory, the solar panels, the cost of that won't go up, but energy costs will. And eventually I'll start to accrue savings. But with what Terry's talking about is that they're subsidizing, I think, the cost of like the panels in the first place, so that people either don't have to finance them at all or don't have to finance as much. So they could end up
Right.
with smaller.
Yeah, you got a $30,000 system that it's going to cost you to install solar.
Yeah.
If we've got a low to moderate income family that's say below 80% of that median income limit, well, they're going to get 33% of that 30,000 forgiven up front. In addition to, we're going to defer another 10,000 of that financing. So it really drives down the cost of what they have to finance and actually pay for up front. And we've done
Huge.
23 of those loans since we rolled the product out this year. We've done 2 of them already for October.
Okay, that's just really, I love that you're right on the leading edge of this and that you're paying attention. And I think we all need to start paying attention to that, and really there's an opportunity here to get a lot of resources out to the people that we serve. So our time is about up. Just want to again thank our panelists so much, and thanks Terry for joining us there at the end. I hope that all of you are as excited about the possibilities here as I am, and I hope if there were any city governments on here, you know, they'll work with Lori or someone to peers in San Antonio with checking out Keisha and Claudia's programs. See if you can start to build this kind of capacity in your community so that we can keep that middle neighborhood and other community housing stock up to snuff. The next thing that we have on our calendars here at Middle Neighborhoods is an engagement chat that Ann does every other month or so. And this one's going to be about finding leaders in your community and using AI to engage with residents. If you want to know more about that, you can ask Ann, who has been behind the scenes here, but she's one of my colleagues and she produces all of our webinars. Oh, Terry is VP of Lending. What's your organization? Can you put if you're willing, Terry, put your email in? And Terry, your organization is the NeighborWorks organization in Des Moines. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so I'm familiar with that. So we hope you'll join us for the engagement chat. A couple of topics we have coming up for webinars. And if anyone is left on this call that has anything to say about this, we're looking for panelists on the Green Alleys movement and / program, or anything about treating alleys, beautifying them, making them more, having impermeable surfaces so they don't contribute to flooding, that sort of thing. And we're also looking at doing a webinar about supporting seniors in our middle neighborhoods, whether it's through creating new senior housing within our neighborhoods or retrofitting existing housing that seniors live in, and all kinds of other supportive services as well. So definitely let us know. I'm Marcia, MARCIA, at middleneighborhoods.org. if you want to let me know about that. We really appreciate you joining us. And if you have any suggestions for other webinar topics, we have a little, evaluation at the end of this you'll get, but it has space for you to make your suggestions as well. And by all means, please join us in the community of practice. There's no fee for it, but it gets you on our mailing list, and for the webinars, for our newsletters, and for a lot of other things that we do to connect practitioners across the country that are doing this kind of work. Thanks again to all of our panelists, and let's go learn about rehab and help other people do it too. Bye-bye, everyone.